specifically the family. I was scheduled to talk on Thursday, then John Banyagas' convincing power dragged me here. But I'd like to address this specifically to Don, to Rosel, to Meme, and Colby. You do know how important your mother is to me. I do not have any second thoughts in telling anybody but everybody that if it were not for Lily Monteverde, I will not be standing here in front of you. I precisely remember that I was this teacher in La Salle who just happened to have a successful play, who was dragged out of nowhere by Elwood Perez, who was somewhere out there, and I met Mother in 1978. And although she did not know me from Adam, she trusted me to write my very first screenplay. That screenplay did not work out because there were complications with that project. But then Elwood again brought me in to write my real first screenplay that became a movie, and that was Sherry Hill's raunchy movie, Problem Child. After that, I had to leave for the States for my studies. And I thought that that was the first and last of my involvement in films. But the moment she found out that I was home, she asked me to write another movie. And this time, it was for Lino Broca. If it were not for your mother, I would not be here. If it were not for your mother who trusted me without any evidence of what I can do, I would not be here. After the Lino Broca project that went on forever, I was doing all these scripts for Rika. I remember this place very vividly. Wala pa itong kwartong ito, andun pa ang lahat sa dating bahay ni Nora Aurora. And I was in a room with people like Charo Santos, Olive Lamasan, Malu Santos, Rory Quintos, Jackie Lu. We were the English department. Mother would make jokes because we were the English-speaking department. But I was doing movies with Luciano B. Carlos. Rosel, do you know how many movies I made with Luciano B. Carlos? I was making a movie a month. I was writing a script a month. I precisely remember those years when I was practically living here because we would be meeting and writing, and I'd be writing scripts for her. And she would always call us in the main bedroom and joke about the girls of the English department. Mother would laugh at us when Malu Santos and I would go to Casa Marcos to buy pandesal with potted meat. Jackie, remember when Malu and I would wait for our taxi cabs outside in Ortigas? So when I look back at how far we have gone and how we all started with Mother, including Charo Santos. I wish Charo were here because she would admit that everything she learned about commercial filmmaking came from Lily Monteverde. You are not a director unless you have directed for Rika. Dear Lily was not the easiest person to work with. She had her mood swings. I remember the flying telephones. I remember that when it became cell phones, she became more careful because it was more expensive. Yeah. I remember the time, Bridget, that your grandmother threw the headset of a phone, and it had this coil, and it flew right back at her. And she said, "Aray, masakit pala." And we were laughing like crazy. I remember the mother who was a grandmother who would watch Keith run around the basement in his briefs. And the happiness that Keith gave, okay, every time you see Mama. I wrote this in Facebook. One day, I was in Valencia and we were eating lumpiang sariwa and pancit. And Mother just out of the blue said, Joey, magdirect ka ng pelikula. And I said, okay. Terrified and not knowing what was ahead. But she trusted me. She trusted me to the very point that when I was in Berlin, remember Grace? When we were in Berlin, because I did Toro, and it was invited in Panorama, and we went to the great premiere. Okay? I remember the look of pride that Mother had looking at me when the lights went on and the applause was all for us. How could I forget that? I remember the time when I was condemned for being a pornographer by the administration and by the church because of the same movie that made me so proud to be a Filipino filmmaker. And Mother was beside me and never left me and never left the directors. I remember the years when I was not working for Regal because I was working for another company. And there was that space in time in which I did not have that much contact with Mother because I was doing a lot of commercial films outside. But when that cycle of my life is over, there was always Regal to come home to. She never took it against anybody if you wanted to leave for a while to find yourself. She never took a grudge because of demanded loyalty. Because for her, being loved is more important than superficial loyalty. I never forget, perhaps the moment when I really realized how important she was to me. When in every career, there is that point in your life in which people will say you're over the hill, you're laos, and your career is over because you can't give box office hits anymore. That happens all the time, not only to artistas but also to directors. I remember when a TV executive told me to my face that I had nothing more to give. And when Mother found out, the first thing she told me was, halika dito, let's work. Let's work somewhere. And from that day, she never let go of me. Other producers you work for, but with Mother, you just don't work for her, you work with her, and you work by her. Other producers treat people they work with as employees who are only as good as they can bring money in, but not Mother. One thing I was able to prove, I was a surrogate Monteverde. I remember when she was about to give up the control of Regal. You know, Rosel, that the first thing she told me is, huwag mong pabayaan si Rosel. She told me that, Joey, huwag mong pabayaan si Rosel. Huwag mong pabayaan ang Regal. And I told her that how could I possibly do that to a person who I know did not only take care of me, but actually loved me. There are very few employers who love you. They love what you can do and what you can give, but they do not love you. Mother loved us. There are so many people she helped, but she never made a big deal out of it. There are so many complications that she went through in her career, but that was because she was Lily Monteverde. Deep in the heart of hearts of this woman who people thought was an Iron Lady was such a loving person. when Rosel called me up last Saturday, as I was about to go to the Luna Awards, to tell me that the time was almost over, I told Rosel that I was going to be at the hospital. I keep telling Rosel that you have to prepare because I buried my father, I buried my mother, I buried my brother. And I told Rosel, you have to prepare because the family is depending on you to be the strength. But I was not prepared to see mother in the ICU of Medical City last Saturday. I was not prepared for that. I was not prepared to see her in such a condition because this was a woman who had a parade all over Metro Manila on her birthday, culminating in Araneta Coliseum. But it made me realize that she taught me the biggest lesson in life. That specific day, Rosel. It's not how powerful you are, it's not how popular you are, it's not how much money you have. It's how you affect people's lives that make you really matter as a human being in the years that are loaned to you by the good Lord. Mother may have been so misunderstood, but believe me, since I knew her, there can never be another one like her. More important, you cannot possibly talk about Philippine cinema without knowing the importance of the work of Lily Monteverde. So, Mother, as I said by your bedside last time, sige, Mother, magpahinga ka na. You've done what you're set out to do, and people will never forget you because she was, she is, and she will always be Mother Lily. And I am just so privileged and so lucky to be one to know her and to be one to be loved by her, but more so to love her. So Don Don, Rosel, Meme, Baldwin, hindi nyo lang alam kung gaano kayo kaswerte at binigyan kayo ng ganito kagandang ina. And for the grandchildren, God, you have a grandmother who carries a tradition, who represents an entire generation of Philippine filmmaking. You must endlessly be proud of her. As I will always say, last Sunday, my second mother died. Well, I'm sure he's with Remy. And I'm sure she is happy guarding Remy. Thank you.
What a beautiful and powerful message that was. So this evening, the night is not yet over, but we will